What is accommodating resistance? Well, I want you to think about lifting weights, right? What's easier? When you're doing a squat, is it easier at the top or is it harder on the top, right? Well, it's easier on the top. So why is it easier at the top of a lift? Because you have a greater mechanical advantage near the top of the lift compared to like on the bottom. How do we overcome this? Well, what happens is this. Because you have a greater mechanical advantage oftentimes at the top of a lift, or because you start to slow down the top of a lift, your muscles aren't working as hard. So if I look at a bench press, my muscles are working harder in this portion of the lift, and they're not working as hard near the top of the lift. Well, it means we're lowering the window of adaptation. We're not making as many gains. So one way to overcome that is a concept known as accommodating resistance. So accommodating resistance is where you add weight near the end of the lift to make it harder. So let's say, for example, that I'm doing bicep curls. It's easier at the top. Maybe as I come past this point, if I'm training with Charlie, he puts some weight on as I'm coming up near the top of the lift, and then halfway on the way down. And then I lift it normal from the bottom to the top. That's accommodating resistance, and it makes the weight harder. And studies show it makes you grow more. Now, the classical ways to do that are to do things like bands and chains, okay? So, for example, if I'm doing bench press, I put bands on there. The bands are unloaded on the bottom, and as I come up, basically, there's more tension on the bands. And so, when I have my greatest mechanical advantage and the weight's usually easiest, the bands add resistance and make it harder, okay? Now, you can also do that with chains. If I'm doing a bench press, the chains are unloaded on the floor, and then as I come up, the chains come off the floor and load the bar, and it becomes harder. Studies show that, in fact, we published a study with Jordan Joy, myself, Dr. Ryan Lowery. We published a study with Jordan Joy in Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research with NCAA athletes, and we found that using accommodating resistance bands made them bigger, made them gain more muscle, made them stronger, and made them more powerful. So I think that's a really good technique. And you could even do it on isolation exercises or compound machine exercise. Like put a band on when you're doing leg press. Man, I will tell you, it's one of the biggest quad pumps you'll ever get, and you will grow like crazy. So that I think that's I think a cool topic. I think accommodating resistance. How do you incorporate it? Well, typically what we like to do is you do normal weights and just add the bands on there. We recommend periodizing accommodating resistance. So maybe like on week 1, do a light band. On week 2, do a heavier band. Week 3, do a super heavy band, right? So that's kind of a accommodating resistance in the overall topic of that. Some people have asked me, should I do accommodating resistance every single day? The answer is probably not. You probably should periodize accommodating resistance. Maybe use it once a week. Switch off from bands and chains, and things of that nature. So that's kind of the topic of accommodating resistance, and I think again the biggest thing about it is it's going to make you gain muscle. It's going to make you gain strength. If you're an athlete, it'll make you gain a lot of power.